You need to start noticing the people in your prepper group or the leaders in your prepper group before it's too late. All right, guys, so this video is basically about people. There's a pre-apocalyptic person and a post-apocalyptic person. Now, this conversation, rather, came up with Prepper Revelator. Him and I were on the phone. We were shooting the shit. We were talking about different prepper groups. In a roundabout way, we were talking about different prepper groups. And as we're talking, it dawned on me. There are two people, right? There is the pre-apocalyptic person. That's the nice guy. He's like, hey, man, welcome to my community. This is how we're running it. And you can have say in how we run it as well. And then there's the post-apocalyptic person who's like, no, dude, we're doing it this way. Iron fist, you don't like it, leave. There's that person. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people are not paying attention to the behavioral markers in these people. If you pay attention to these markers ahead of time, you'll know exactly who you are dealing with before you get there. And that gives you room to decide whether or not you want to deal with that person or not. Because a lot of us don't pay attention to the behavioral markers in people. And because you look at somebody or you're standing too close to them and you're in awe of them, you like them, you're like, this person's great, he's on YouTube, he does this, he does that, look at him. But if you take a couple steps back and you start seeing the bigger picture, you can notice behavioral markers in people, and that should be a red flag for you. Or at the very least, it should be a check mark or a strike, however you want to do it, into whether or not you want to deal with that person. Now, there are many prepper groups out there that I have known that I paid attention to the leaders' markers, and I didn't like it. I took steps back. I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. There are people who have invited me into their group. If the shit is on, you could run into our group, and nope. First of all, I like to run things my own way. I wouldn't mind partnering up with another prepper group or helping them out. But as far as like being in the fold, and no, absolutely not. And not that I run things my own way, but if I'm doing it with my friends and family, we all have a say in this. It's going to run a lot better than having one person that I finally figure out by the time it's too late that he's an iron fist ruler, a tyrant at that. And that's what I don't want to deal with. Now, I know I'm not going to run my prepper group as a tyrant. I'm going to open it up to, at the very least, the immediate friends in my group so that we can discuss how things need to go. It'll almost be like a democracy or a republic, however you want to look at it. But we're not going to run it like a tyrant either. Unless some bad shit happens and then you have to like iron fist it, that's different. But when you're looking at a person, guys, you can see these markers before it happens. And here's a way of testing it. You got to test the person that runs the group. You got to give them stressors. You got to sort of break their balls and see how they lean and see where they go. And when you see which way that leans and which way that goes, that'll give you wiggle room to now, do I want to deal with this person or do I want to back out? Because again, guys, the pre-apocalyptic person is the nice guy or nice woman. They're always going to be nice to you because you guys are friendly. Everything is good. But when the stress factor kicks in, that pre-apocalyptic person becomes an entirely different person post-apocalypse. And now you're going to see that true form. And you got to pay attention to the markers in this person's behavior because you'll see it long before you get there if you pay attention. If you don't pay attention, you're going to miss it. And then when the true form comes out, you're going to be shocked and shit. You're like, oh my God, what happened? No, it was always there. You just weren't paying attention. I pay attention to a lot of people, whether they're on the internet, whether I meet them in person, whether I know about them, I pay attention to their behavioral markers. They're all there, man. Especially when they're on the internet. The longer they're on here, the longer you get to know them, the more you start seeing through their bullshit. The more you start seeing that this guy's full of shit. This guy doesn't know anything. So you start to get that sense when you pay attention. Now, the better form of knowing them is meeting them in person. And then you could sit there and go, whoa, this person is not what I thought. And then you get to judge from there. Now, there were a couple people that I judged them on here, but when I got to meet them, I'm like, oh, okay. But I did still see some of their behavioral markers that I didn't like. So, again, keep that in mind, guys. You want to pay attention to these people. And I know some of you are, meeting these people a few times a month. Some of you people meet them once a year, so you don't get to see them that often, but you got to pay attention to everything they do, the way they move, what they eat, how they say things, the words they use. That's going to be a lot of the markers that start adding up, and that'll give you a sense of who that person is. Because again, if that pre-apocalyptic person never meets the post-apocalyptic person, which are one and the same guy or woman, they never meet each other, then you're okay. But the post-apocalyptic person is normally going to be the true form of that person. Normally. Sometimes trauma can change a person. That is true. And it can change a person for the worse. That's true. But if you pay close attention and you start looking at certain people and their shit and you start going, I don't like that. I do not like where this is going. I'm starting to see a trend with this person and I don't like it. And if something bothers you about that person inside, you got that fucking feeling, that bad feeling, you're like, yeah, I don't trust this person, then it's time to walk away. If you start not trusting somebody, guys, it is time to walk away. Simple. Other than that, this is the Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel.